All right.
Okay. Pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, morning. We have Dan on the phone, I believe,
Dan is on the phone.
so he can
That is
comment
correct, Mr. Chair.
at any time. Take a look at the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of additions, if I may, on that. Under Commissioners' warrants, we need to pull an invoice on the 413 add-on list for Banco Industries, or Banco Systems, excuse me on that. That was for fire alarm testing at the EMS building. However, we're not with that company anymore. We're with 3D Security when we changed that last year. So we obviously we're not using their services, so that invoice will be pulled.
Okay.
That's the only change I have to invoices or for warrants on that. At 10 o'clock, I will be handling the public hearing for the tax abatement for Wade Newgard. Auditor Treasurer Reich will not be here. And also I'd like to add on, right below that, we're going to set a public hearing date of 4/28 of 20 for a home tax abatement for Kirk and Aaron, E-R-I-N, Van Hulzen, Hulzen of Edgerton, Minnesota. So another tax abatement public hearing for 4/28 of 20 for Kirk and Aaron Van Hulzen from Edgerton at 10 a.m. on the 28th. And under other business, I'd just like to add another item to talk about there, business property tax relief information. So business property tax info, just not an action item, just a discussion item. There's a lot of information swirling around the state on taxes and payments and all that, so we can talk a little bit about that when we have a break too, we have time. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anything else to?
Move to approve.
Okay, Luke made the motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Wilderness votes aye
Dan is
on that.
aye. And we'll check out the consent agenda.
Dan, can you hear everything okay?
Yes, I can. I can hear just fine.
Okay, good.
Mr. Chair, move for approval.
Okay, Chris made a motion to approve.
Second.
Les had a second.
Okay, so we got Chris and Les, motion and a second.
All right, any other discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Then we'll go down to Nick, I guess.
Yep, we're ready for Nick, isn't it?
We're 2 minutes early, but that's okay.
I'm ready. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, first up for me today is project updates. So the first update is the third project down on the front page. It's our first contract of 2020 for box culverts with A&C Excavating. They wanted to start yesterday, but with the weather, that's pushed back a little bit till things dry up. But they hope to actually get both the Sweet Township ones done by the May 15th date. That's for the shiners. May 15th, August 1st, you can't work, so they hope to get 2 of the 4 done by then, so that's great. Next update is the second project on the next page. It is our CASA 13 widening job. The erosion control was being installed when I wrote this up. They're probably even done by now, so they're gonna get started on that as soon as it dries up enough. Next page, the top project, that would be the Indian Lakes Trail and CASA 30 overlay. That bid opening is this morning at 10:30. Next project on the list there would be our CASA 2 and CASA 20 bridges. Casada 20 is the State Park Road by Island, and that Casada 2 bridge is just west of Island, right across the train tracks. We have received preliminary plans, so that's almost done, so hopefully we can get on the bonding list for those pretty soon. Next update I have is that the gravel screening project. That bid opening is this morning, as well as the gravel crushing. Then the last project on that page would be the 2020 seal coats. That bid opening is currently scheduled for April 28th. That's it for project updates. And Steve, did you want me to talk about that L&O bill, or was I out of the room when you did that?
I added this into the packet. You should have in your packet just beyond the right-of-way payments. Did we do the right-of-way payments?
Not yet, no.
Okay, you want to do that? That's
Sure, I can do-
second on your list. Let's do
Okay.
that, and then we'll go right into, we can move into the other.
Okay. So right-of-way payments, there is a request for board action in there. There's 5 parcels we need to pay for. These are just random kind of box culvert jobs. You see the first one there for $1,500. That's higher than normal, but that one has some grading work with it, so that's why that one's a little bit higher. And then that third one down for $1,900. That had some like flood damage. We're gonna bunch of material kind of deposited out in the streamways. We want to clean that up so it flows better. So we needed a little bit larger easement area there. So that's why those two are a little bit higher than what you're used to seeing. But outside of that, they're all just your regular run-of-the-mill culvert easements. So.
Okay,
I'd move to approve.
okay.
Second.
Listen, Chris.
Okay, motion by Les, second by Chris for right-of-way payments.
Yep. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, motion passes. Now you want to talk about the L&O power thing?
Yep. Back in, now I'm drawing a blank when we did this. It's a couple months ago, we had talked about that L&O power project. We're gonna take out some trees along that County Road 25. We're gonna do some grading out there. We would have had to pull out the trees ourselves, so they just offered, they asked if we'd be willing to split the bill on the tree removal, so. I don't know if you remember me talking about that before, but okay. So that's what this bill is for, $5,343.75, and that's about half of what it would have cost us had we had to do it ourselves, so pretty fair compromise, I guess.
Mr. Chair, this is Dan. I've got a question for Nick on the trees.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Nick, are these trees that we would have had to taken out anyway? Because I see in the sheet it talks about trees removed for new power line. So if it wasn't for the power line, would the county have had any reason to remove these trees?
Yes, with our road widening project, we would have had to do it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
Do we get to deduct the sales tax?
I was looking into that, but they've already paid it, so I don't think we can. So we're paying L&O Power, who paid Minnesota Valley Tree Service. So I don't think we can, because it's, you know, I guess if it was our bill, we could, but,
Right.
so.
okay, did we vote on that?
No,
but-
I'd make a motion to,
Technically, we're not the vendor on this project, so
Right.
if we were the vendor, then we'd obviously take it up. But since they're an Iowa company,
Right.
right?
Okay.
That's where L&O is out of, right?
Rock Rapids is where
Rock-
our
Yeah,
office
out of
is at.
Iowa, so that's why they're getting charged Minnesota sales tax on it. So we're kind of hung for our, basically, what, 50% share of it? Right, Nick? We kind of split it in half, didn't we, the bill?
Yeah, we split, what's half, we're paying for half of what is called Spot 1. They
Right.
did some other tree removal, and that's not included in here. This is just the area that we would have had to remove.
move for approval to pay them. as the auditor's warrant.
Okay, Luke made the motion to approve.
I'll second that motion if nobody else has yet.
Okay, you got it.
Dan seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
Okay, we'll get that to Sandy for auditor's warrant.
Okay, anything else, Nick?
Yeah, next up is that request for board action I just handed out.
Truck?
Back on January 7th, I think, or 14th. I came to the board and asked for permission to just purchase a used semi-tractor. I think it was up to $40,000 and pay as a Friday bill. The point for that is, we wanted to buy a used piece of equipment here instead of a new, and if they wouldn't hold on to it, we wanted to be able to jump on it quick. So, but in this case, it worked out to where I could come back for board approval. So that's what that's about. This is a 2007 Mack CHN 613. It's got a 13-speed transmission and 340,000 miles, and they're asking $21,900 for it. We sent our mechanic up to look at it. It's in St. Paul. Everything checked out on it. It's pretty much exactly what we were looking for from the start. So I think this is the way we'd like to go with that truck purchase.
Is this thing a color that you're gonna be okay with, or is it white or red or, don't know? Don't care?
Is it like dark blue or something?
Green, we won't paint it. or
Yeah.
anything.
Use it as it is.
Yeah, we'll just
What
put our
about the
sticker.
lowboy trailer thing? Is that something
That'll be next.
you're still looking for that then, so?
Yeah, we wanted to find a truck first.
Okay.
So.
I guess
Nick, this is Dan. Do we know how many miles the engine has on it since it was overhauled last?
I don't believe it has been overhauled. It's only got 340,000 miles on it total.
What kind of shape are the tires in?
Probably 75% remaining.
75% remaining. That's for Doug.
I'll move that we approve the purchase of this 2007.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay.
Then we'll also authorize that as an auditor's warrant for 4/17 of 20 as well.
Next up, I have our regular maintenance updates. Weight limit postings went on March 6th. Some districts are pulling them off already, so I think they'll probably advise us to do the same shortly. Might hear back on that this week even, that wouldn't surprise me. We've been out plowing since my last update. We've been out plowing 6 days, and we've crack sealed for 10 days. So outside of that, it's we did a little bit of ditch work, but it's been some pretty general maintenance activities. So. Then outside of that, the next thing I have would be the bid openings, but those can't happen until 10:30. Anybody have any other questions for me otherwise in the meantime?
Thank you, Nick.
Dan, any questions for Nick at all? Anything else?
Nope, I do not.
Okay, well, thank you, Nick.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you at 10:30.
We have a little time before Kyle shows up. Do you want to go into personnel? Or nothing? Okay. Other business? Steve, you want to talk about tax relief or?
Let's hit that Minnesota Workforce Joint Powers Agreement.
Okay.
And where's that?
Back in the packet about halfway. Just the best.
There it is. This was, Mr. Chair and board members, this was sent out last week by Carrie Bendix, and she is requesting that the board review this before our meeting on the 28th, where we'll take action on it. So I don't expect action on this right now, but if you wanted to, at your time, at your leisure, before the next meeting, take a look through this, see if there's any changes that you want made other than what they've already done markups on the proposal here, and bring it back. I think, Les, you're the representative on this. Any background or anything you can share on this at all? This obviously will go forward for the next,
5 years, isn't it?
this one's going through 2022, so that's
2 years.
2 years, excuse me.
I just know Kerry is doing a lot of cleanup of material.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It's just freshening up the language a little.
Especially since we've had the logo change and name change to Workforce, so.
She did send out an email and just basically states, the Southwest Minnesota Joint Powers Agreement under the Federal Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act is due to be renewed by July 1st, 2020. Attached is the agreement with suggested changes from the last agreement. The changes reflected the revised language used in the federal act. The agreement renews every 2 years. Please let me know if you have any changes, additions your county would like to make by April 28th, 2020. Once I hear back from all 14 counties in the agreement, I will send out the final version for county commissioners to approve in May or June at the latest. A little bit of background, she sent more than 35 years ago, a version of the attached joint powers agreement was established between 14 counties of southwest Minnesota to receive federal funding through the Job Training Partnership Act. The funding establishes 3 career force locations in the region and is used to provide employment and training services to low-income adults, low-income youth, and dislocated workers. There has been several versions of the federal act. Most recently, the Joint Powers Agreement was renewed under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act established in 2014. If you have any questions or concerns, please let Carrie know. And thank you, and wishing you the best as you lead our region through this difficult time.
Steve, the only question I would have is the copy we've got is the final copy. Do we have a red line copy so we know what wording was updated from the last time this was renewed?
Yes, that was in your emailed packet. Should be there. The red line should be in the email packet as well.
Okay. The only one I'm seeing is the final one, but I'll search for the other one. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead. If you don't find it, I'll go ahead and copy this and send you a copy when we're done with the meeting, okay?
Well, are there anything in the red line that stands out, or is it pretty much just updating? You said it changed the name to Workforce Development.
In looking through it, well, we've got 2 weeks to do it anyways before we come back, so you have time to take a look at it.
There didn't seem to be anything.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot there. Mainly names, boards, scratching council, changing boards, a lot of name change things in there, but it really doesn't appear that anything substantial to the agreement has been made here.
One little thing right on the first page I see is between Murray and Nobles, there's a double space. All the other counties have a single space between them.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Just being real nitpicky.
Yep. So again, no action on this today.
Okay. You want to continue into something else? You want to get Kyle up here?
Oh, we can have Kyle come up, that's
Okay.
fine.
He's got.
Dan, we're going into the SCORE agreement next.
Okay, very good.
Good morning.
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 And mine is not too big of an item. We've gotten the SCORE agreement every year for as long as I know of. They've just recently switched to an electronic agreement where we've never done this in the past. So I've got an agreement that's been emailed to Bruce and just looking for board approval for that grant agreement with MPCA.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Okay,
Second.
made a motion, Chris seconded. So the signature things that they talked about in the email, you've got that covered, so.
Nope, that would be you. They want the chair to have electronic signature, so you just need to click on it and
Okay.
it approves and it gets sent back then,
So
so.
talk to you before I did anything else with that.
Right, yep.
Okay,
And the grant amount is not listed on the agreement. It's right around that 68,000 per year. But that is dictated by the number of participating counties, so that number will be coming later.
Okay. Any other questions for Kyle about this? We have a motion and a second.
Dan, any questions on the agreement?
No changes on the allowable things that we can use that grant money for. Kyle, we can still use it on things that we deem.
The statute requires that we only spend it on associated solid waste related expenditures. So recycling, solid waste, we can't go, buy something for the courthouse with it, but it's got to be related to solid waste in some fashion.
Did you hear that, Dan?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you, Kyle.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
I guess I got a question for Kyle. I don't know if you have all the numbers yet, but I was just asked if our recycling numbers, if how much garbage went down, if there was any impact last year after the switch to single stream recycling.
Oh, how many tons of garbage actually was reduced?
Right. Yes, I don't know if those numbers had come in yet or not, or if I
Melissa is just finishing up the score report that was submitted. I have not had a chance to review all the actual numbers, but I do know that recycling tonnages have increased almost double from where they were. So I would assume solid waste tonnages have reduced, but that number fluctuates quite frequently. So typically we're around 5,000 tons of solid waste in the landfills, and our recycling tons are around that 400 to 800 tons. So it's not a substantial portion of the solid waste for reduction, but
Okay.
it would make some difference, yes.
Okay.
I think a lot of the paper that, I know Edgerton a lot of paper for years for the fire department, a lot of that's ending up in recycling now, because it's just more convenient just to dump it in there.
Right. Yep. So things have shifted.
Wasn't going in the landfill anyway, but it's still going
Right.
into recycling, but, yeah, so there's some of that.
Kyle,
Pipestone might have something similar to that too. Dan, do you have a question?
Kyle, this is Dan. Yeah, once you get that tabulation all put together, then on the score report, you'll bring that back to us with total tonnage.
Sure. Yep. I haven't in the past, so I mean, that's something I can definitely do.
Be very interested in that, and if at all possible, I'd really like. I know we're hauling twice the tonnage we had before, but is there any way to determine how much of that we're hauling is truly making it into the recycle stream and not going to landfill?
From the recyclable material?
Yeah, so the stuff that because we know that we got a lot of stuff that's getting spoiled and so forth in the mix. Any way of getting any kind of report back from Millennium? I realize it's not our responsibility that's actually Van Dyke because it's his contract, but it'd be very interesting to get a feel for the increased tonnage, how much is actually truly being recycled and not just thrown away.
No, that actually is, Dan, that is part of our contract, that it does require the facility to report the amount of garbage that's being disposed of separate from the recycling. So when we initially started the contract with Millennium, they were estimating about a 2% disposal of problem materials or non-recyclable type materials. So I would assume it's going to be somewhere in that 2% ballpark.
But the actual tonnage will be reflected in the score report when you bring that to us?
Yes. Yep.
Very good, thank you.
Is glass still something that they crush and then dispose of in the landfill?
Nope, the glass is being recycled.
Okay.
I got a very interesting plastics recycling article or YouTube video. It's a video that was just recently done by public radio or public TV on the plastics that have been shipped to China and what actually happened in China with the plastics. What basically happened is that we were shipping everything over there. They were pulling out the ones and twos and basically improperly or burning the remainder. And now since they've quit taking our material, I mean, it kind of sheds a light on everything going to China wasn't necessarily being recycled. So gives you a little different perspective of what's recycling, and it really talks about in order for us to really address this whole solid waste recycling issue, it's going to take everyone changing their day-to-day lives and relying on less plastics productions and using other methods of packaging materials than plastics to eliminate the problems in the oceans and all over the country. So I'll maybe email that out to everyone and spend I think it's about a 20-minute clip, so.
Okay. Anything else for Kyle? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yep, so Bruce, you can go ahead and just click on the
I'll
the
get home.
the
I'll look
sign
at it.
and respond, yep, and it should ship it off back to St. Paul.
Sounds
Thanks.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan, any other questions for Kyle before he heads out?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Do we vote on this?
I thought we did, but
Did we vote on?
did we vote on that?
No.
No, we don't have a vote. I've got Luke motion, Chris second.
Okay. Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Steve, did you want to continue with something else, or this bank systems?
Let's go ahead and talk about the business property
Okay.
tax information. Little handout here for
Thank you.
a couple things here. This was all done. I printed this out yesterday, so that's what I.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, business property tax relief, what's been going on here about the last week and a half? There's been a lot of information floating around and ideas because of the COVID-19 and taxes, and when property taxes are due, that some sort of delay in possibly tax payments could be done to help businesses. A lot of administrators around the state, ideas have been floating around different boards that they wanted to do something locally, but what really is pushing it now, AMC's involved in it very well, and there's not a cohesive, one county's doing one thing. They might say, well, we want to do 30 days of relief instead of everybody paying on May 15th, we'll let businesses go to June or July. Or they talked about maybe the public should have those that have escrow payments, they let those payments just come in as they normally do, but if anybody's paying private, we're able to then, we'll go ahead and forgive any penalty, that type of thing. So it still have to be paid, but there's no one way, and it's all over the map. So what we're really trying to do is, also what's leading this to, a letter was sent by the Minnesota Chambers of Commerce to the governor, and signed by basically 100 of them, including Pipestone Area Chamber of Commerce, and the local chambers support a 60-day extension of payments of the May 15th business property tax. So that would push it out to like July. So AMC got involved in it, and that's what you got, the Monday email from Matt Hilgart, and going through there. And Dan, I'll send these to you as well too. I just got these.
I've got Matt's email.
Okay, good. So you can see what's going on there as well. But in his comments, what he put on there is what I fear most is for counties to step out in front and lead, just to have the legislature mandate a program that is in contrast to what you passed. So common thinking is we should let the state determine what they're going to do instead of the county, each individual county determining what we're going to do. Part of the other idea is that some of the businesses we have, and if it was going to be, say, farm tax and personal taxes, we have taxpayers here that pay in multiple counties. Even in South Dakota, we have residents that have farmland, that type of thing. So if it's only business, that's on our lower end. You know, our majority of it is ag, followed by residential, followed by business in our categories. I don't have Tyler here, he's not available, but I don't have the exact dollar amount of what we take in for business property taxes in a given year. But other counties, they have a lot more of that than we do, less ag. You get into the metropolitan areas, it's huge amounts of business. So it's really all over the board. So I'm not asking the board to take any action whatsoever on this, just to make you aware of what's out there. And if the legislature is reconvening today, and I expect that they'll have some discussions and probably in the House and Senate at some point, if they're gonna probably do anything on this. You know, you have a few weeks that it's due May 15th, but if they're gonna do anything, they need to get it going right away. So, I'm not saying we do anything, but AMC did send out a survey to ask if we were doing anything, and obviously, the first question is your county in discussions or planning to provide some sort of property tax relief? I would say we're in discussions and talking about it, but we have no plan for property tax relief at this point. Should AMC advocate for a uniform form of statewide property tax relief? What are your thoughts on that? Mine is yes, personally.
Steve, I would concur with that because of the complexity of it, for each of the counties to do their own separate thing would be very confusing. So uniform certainly would make more sense.
And then the third question is if you think that AMC should advocate for a uniform statewide property tax relief solution, how should it be structured? And that's basically a question on it, if you want to answer it on that. So, primarily business. We have a lot of our tax money, Tyler told me, is already coming in. Escrow payments are coming in daily, electronically. We're getting, tens of thousands of dollars in taxes coming in now. And so the businesses are probably the ones that are going to be facing it the most at this point anyway, because we still do have approximately 80% of our population working in Pipestone County, and don't know how many of those are homeowners, that type of thing. But businesses would probably be the ones who are suffering the hardest hit because, especially in the retail and food service industries that we have here, they aren't able to work at all. So maybe that makes sense for that part of it to have some sort of tax relief. And I'm guessing it would be some sort of a penalty relief, that there would be no penalty charge. I don't know how you'd go ahead and start changing amounts of it. But counties do have the ability to, by statute, that the auditor treasurer, if there's an extenuating circumstance, can forgive penalty. Can't forgive interest, you can't delay it, but you can forgive it. So that would be what the statutes would be holding on, that type of thing, so you could do it that way. Would be some sort of a penalty relief, so there would be no penalty if it was extended out 60 days or 90 days, something like that.
The length of time and just say
It's
that-
length of time, not dollar amounts of your value. Obviously, you don't have the ability to do that. That would set up a whole different thing, but.
that would be more difficult to control
Yeah.
if you can.
Oh, yeah. So, again, it's a real short one there, but any other thoughts from the board on this?
Steve, after you read that verbiage, then where our auditor already has the authority to, in extenuating circumstances, is there even a need for this? Because can't we judge our own extenuating circumstances? And if all we're doing is waiving penalty, extending the penalty period, it seems to me like it's already set up that we should be good to go the way it is.
Yep, very true. But other things they've talked about, don't know the date. Would it be July 1st, July 31st? Some are saying July 15th isn't possibly the best day to do it when you're dealing with partial months of interest. It's just all over the place, but Yes, in my mind, I believe the state should take the lead on this and.
I
tell
would
us
agree
what
with
to do.
that. I think rather
I
than
think that would
have
be the
every
best
county
way.
doing something different, it'd be better to have more of a uniform approach to it than have,
We got time.
yeah, there's,
For people that own property in more than one county, it'd be a lot easier if it were led by the state.
So if you're in agreement with that, I'll go ahead and send the information back to AMC on the tax proposal that we recommend that the state take the lead on this and come up with something on it. Does that sound reasonable?
I think that sounds like a good idea, Steve.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. We'll go with that then.
More discussion on this topic, though, going forward.
Go ahead.
Another thing we're going to have to look at is when we make our payments, like for our joint powers groups, specifically Southwest Health and Human Services. In the past, Tyler never actually makes those payments that are calculated per capita until we actually have the payments from the taxpayer. If they're in arrears, he doesn't make the payment.
Right.
So that might be something down the road. If this gets to be a large number, that's going to cut off the money stream for our health and human services, and that might make a hardship or burden there. So we might have to look at possibly viewing that a little differently.
I would think, in my own mind, I think with our May 15th tax deadline, I think we're probably going to be okay at this point on it, because money's still there. Be more interesting what's going to happen in the second half of the year as we get into November 15th.
Right.
And also, and next year is a whole nother story. See how long
When
this
does
thing
Tyler
lasts.
normally make those payments? Does he make those payments twice a year to Health and Human Services?
Yes, and then they'll also, right after the first year, they'll make a year-end distribution, and then they'll also send out anything that's in arrears as far as delinquent property taxes. They'll make sure those get distributed as well in January as well, and February. We'll take those into consideration. So I don't believe we'll probably have a problem making distribution after our May settlement this year.
Very good, thank you.
Yep. And I'll plan on bringing Tyler in at the end of on the 28th meeting, see if we can get some more information on him on that, so. So we'll just keep this lines of communication open, and we'll discuss it again on the 28th. And if I get anything else from this state and AMC, I'll make sure I send it out. And if anything happens today at the legislature, I'll make sure you guys get it too, so we're all, what's going on as well. That's all I got on that, if that's all right.
okay.
Oh, time, we have anything till 10? We're blowing through this meeting really quick.
Got a little time yet. The COVID-19.
COVID, a little
update,
bit
is
of
that
information
something?
going on that, what's going on. I've attempted several times to get a hold of the radio station to do spots on this, but I don't know if anybody's working there or not, but I'm not getting good response back from them at this time. So I have a PSA I'm going to state for the meeting today of what's going on. A couple things that are happening. First thing is the governor yesterday extended the peacetime emergency that was set to expire on April 13th for an additional 30 days to May 13th. So that's the first thing that happened. The peacetime emergency has been extended. And obviously, our stay-at-home order is extended until basically May 4th. So that hasn't changed at all. Casey and I, Emergency Management Director Casey Siebert and I attended a teleconference with Southwest Health and Human Services. Our 6 counties, we do that every Friday morning. And what came up this week is Southwest Health and Human Services has created a hotline that'll be set up this week that will allow phone and email questions from the public. 4 nurses are going to be available to staff that and answer the questions from 8 to 4:30 on weekdays, so the public can get a hold of Southwest Health and Human Services to ask questions they might have about COVID-19, testing, symptoms, all of those types of things. Minnesota Responds is very active. Minnesota Responds is an organization that is looking for volunteers in our statewide, and Southwest Health and Human Services is responsible for that. They're looking for volunteers, things like retired nurses, retired doctors, active EMS personnel, and other personnel, just volunteers from people to join in and sign up and be able to share their information and possibly be called into use if there were a need. And one of the need that comes to mind is if each of the 7 regions in the state have been asked to come up with a 250-bed site for an overflow type of facility. they've looked at several areas in our region, and one of them is the Carlson Street Clinic in Marshall. One of them is the closed Ballatin Nursing Home. Another one is the closed Slayton Nursing Home. So they're looking for places. So the state has come down, the Army Corps of Engineers has come down, Department of Emergency Management has come down and reviewed all these sites. And apparently the number one site is in Lyon County, and that would be the Carlson Street Clinic location for approximately 250 bed facility. So the state is coming up with, they need 1,000 beds in the metro, and then each of the 7 regions, they want 250 beds in each of the 7 outlying rural regions. So that's what they're running around the state, trying to find areas of the state that can handle these. So in southwest Minnesota, Lyon County has been determined that the Carlson Street site would be best, and that would be an area where possibly Minnesota Response volunteers could help work, that type of thing, that are needed in any type of, that would work with their skill sets. So she was very happy. Ann was talking, she was very happy that 15 new people signed up this past week, which has been the largest increase they've had in years, and this has been around for about 10 years now, so she's very happy with that. Funeral directors are having a conference call with emergency managers next week in case we would get into, unfortunately, if there were a surge in deaths due to COVID-19, and how our funeral directors and morticians and coroners will be able to handle a large influx in the region, so they'll be talking about that. Murray County reported that FIS is producing face shields and for responders and hospitals, and they're doing a minimum of 50-piece order, and apparently you can place orders with FIS to get those. I don't have any ideas on costs or anything like that. So those come around about once a week, so I'll be talking more with them. Other things that are going on around the region, around the state. The governor issued Executive Order 20-34, and this is a good thing for our first responders. This executive order is to help protect the health and safety of our first responders. The executive order means that limited information such as the address for a person who has tested positive for COVID-19 and is still contagious can be shared with the Department of Public Safety, who can share it with first responders. So that means that dispatch centers would have an address, and if there was someone who positively tested for COVID-19 would be able to be shared with the responders for law enforcement, EMS, fire rescue, that type of thing, statewide going to that. So they're not going in blindly to these things. There wouldn't be any names listed, but the address point would be able to be listed and say we have it on file that that's a COVID-19 residence. So that was just enacted, because before that is no one was talking to each other and saying, nope, we can't give you that information. So the governor stepped in and said, yes, emergency responders need that information. So our dispatch center up here will be apprised of that information. How the information sharing is coming down, I don't know what the specific protocols are on that yet. If it'll come from Department of Health down to our local Health and Human Services, and then to our dispatcher, if it'll go directly from health to us down here. But when I get more information, I'll let you know on that too. So
They
that
wouldn't
is
be
a
made
positive thing.
public, though.
No, absolutely, it will not be made public. No, just like you're not going to hear the names of people who were tested, and you're not going to see where they specifically live in a town, because some of the towns are so small that if they said anything at all, people would know exactly who they were talking about. So I
Right.
don't want that as well. Other thing that was a good thing that was passed is the legislature last Tuesday, last time they were in session, I believe it was Tuesday, they passed House File 4737, which provides a workplace presumption for first responders who came down with COVID-19. In the bill, first responders are licensed peace officers, firefighters, paramedics, nurses, healthcare workers, correctional officers, security officers employed by the state or political subdivision at a corrections, detention, or secure treatment facility, EMTs, healthcare providers, nurses, home care, long-term care providers, as well as child care workers. What's happening now is if any one of those people come down with COVID-19, the presumption is it was work-related and will be eligible for workers' compensation. So that is a good thing to help protect these first-line workers that are out trying to protect all of us and help the people who are catching the COVID-19. So that is a good thing that just came along too. So a couple of exciting things that are going along that wanted to share on that. And Lastly, this is just a little PSA that Southwest Health and Human Services is passing out. And just want to say that to the public out there, if anybody watches our video, we'd appreciate it. We do have good information out here. But thank you to those of you who are making sacrifices each and every day by following the guidelines in place to reduce the spread of COVID-19. You are being a good neighbor, a good friend, and a good family member. We are all in this together, and it's working. Governor Walz extended the stay-at-home order until May 4th. By doing this, we are giving our emergency planners and healthcare facilities the time they need to prepare. So, stay home except for essentials like getting groceries, medications, and gasoline. Stay active, take a walk, go for a hike, go for a bike ride. Connect with your loved ones and neighbors through calls, texts, and FaceTime, or other methods of remote discussions. Zoom, those types of things work well too. Practice social distancing when you do need to leave home. Wash your hands often, don't touch your mouth, nose, or eyes. Cover your cough and sneeze. Stay home if you are sick. This is a difficult time for many of us, and we need to continue to work together. So stay home, stop the spread, and save lives. So it's a PSA that Public Health is putting out, and they're sending us new ones every week to share. So it's a little report on what's going on in our county on COVID-19, and anything else that's coming up, I'll be sure to let you know too. I'm sending out things daily. My inbox, it overfloweth with COVID-19 emails like you wouldn't believe. It's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things coming along all the time on it. So it's just, some of it's total, obviously junk, and they're trying to sell us things like that. But a lot of it is important too. And the governor's information that he sends out, I do share out every day when I get those. And the governor does generally every day at 2 p.m. have a governor's press briefing. And it's very easy to get online. One site that I found works well for me is I go to kstp.com and go to their live site. So you're hearing it from the Metro. Because a lot of our news does come out of South Dakota, and we're hearing more often what's going on over there than we do what's happening in our towns in Minnesota. So, but as more information comes out, I'll be sure to send. Comments or questions, anybody?
I think so.
Okay. We've got everything done except committee reports, so we could do a recess if you'd like, Mr. Chair, or do you want to go into reports? Up to you.
Let's just do a recess until 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And Tyler will be here, or someone.
All right, we are live.
And Steve is going to present the tax abatement information, I think.
Yep, I will do that. Mr. Chairman, Auditor Treasurer Reich is not able to be here today, so I'll take care of this abatement as well. We have a request in front of us from Mr. Wade Newgard for a tax abatement. Property location is 1156 121st Street in Pipestone, Section 34 of Grange Township. Parcel is approximately 2 acres. You have in front of you copies of the initiative. There's a black and white copy of the land parcel where we're talking. And on the back page of that, a little better close-up of the parcel we're putting this at. And also there is a drawing of the proposed house as well in here.
Okay.
The abatement would be approximately $1,670 annually for 3 years. And if the board is online with that, this would be the approval of Resolution 59-18-20, resolution relating to a tax abatement on property being developed by Wade Newgard / Tom Newgard, granting the abatement.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Dan, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Did you hear all that?
Yeah, I do have one question on that. That's just clarification of, is it Wade or is it Tom? It's I see both signatures on there, so just so we're clear, so Tyler's clear on who it is.
Well, it says the applicant name is Wade and the owner's name is Tom, so
Right.
your guess is as good as ours there.
The applicant is Wade and the owner of the property is Tom. Everything on the applicant information is Tom, so I imagine Tom has the land. Wade is going to be putting the house up there. All I know is it's going
Just so
to
that,
It's gonna be in Wade
Just as
New.
long as that complies, as long as it still complies with our program as far as the owner, because we don't pay abatements to developers, only to the owner of the house.
Yeah, this is not a developer, this is to Wade Newgard is what it's listed out here. Wade Newgard is on the public hearing. Tom apparently has some sort of, maybe that's his property in it, but Wade's gonna be living there, so. I don't see an issue with this.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
So the
All in favor,
motion
say aye.
was,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
motion was, Luke, did you make the motion, was that right?
Yes.
Second was
Me.
Les, thank you.
And we have another one for Kirk Van Hulsen. That's to set a hearing.
Chairman, I request that we set April 28th, 2020 at 10 a.m. for a property tax abatement for, as mentioned at the beginning, this would be Kirk and Aaron Van Hulsen of Edgerton. And location would be on, this would be section 28, legal description is 804 8th Avenue West. They're currently building
I think it's right in, it's right
in
town.
Edgerton.
Yeah.
So this will be in the city of Edgerton on this one. So we'll set that for April 28th at 10 a.m. Motion to that would be appropriate.
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Dan?
Okay, we'll say Dan made the motion.
Okay.
Les seconded it. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that's good. Then we have Wayne Drew, who's
Wayne is here.
talked about air quality.
Yeah.
Going here, I'm going to bring the representatives of Legacy on the phone with us so they can answer any questions you might have. So I'll get them going here.
Good morning, Legacy Services.
Good morning, Steve Ewing calling from Pipestone County. Is Mike Adair available, please?
Yes, Steve, one moment, please.
Thank you.
I think it right through. It is.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
We're doing great today. How you doing?
Doing very well down here. So to have both Mike and Paul on the phone with us?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, great. Gentlemen, you are live in our County Commissioners Board meeting room. Wayne Drew is sitting right here at the table, and I've got the conference call sitting right next to him. So we're just going to go through this, and if you could just give the board members kind of an overview of what you are proposing to do for us, I think that would be great, and answer any questions they might have. And we did talk about this, Wayne and I did, and I think that we're going to, and I did send it out to the building committee as well, I think we're going to recommend we do this courthouse annex first, being the age of the building and the lack of cleaning of any ductwork's been done in probably since it was built, 40 years. So I think this is probably the one that needs it the worst at this point anyway.
Yep.
So, but I'm going to turn it over to you guys right now, okay?
Okay, we certainly thank everybody for their time this morning here, and we certainly look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to work together. My name is Mike Adair. I'm president of the company, and Paul Chikris, who's vice president here, we are owners of the company, and we keep a very hands-on approach.
Dan, can you hear it?
To the jobs that we
Yes, I
do.
can.
Okay.
We have both been certified in doing commercial duct cleaning with the National Association of Duct Cleaners since, we don't even like to admit it, since way back in 1992, but and all of our folks, our supervisors that would be involved with this project have been with us for 10 years plus, which we're pretty proud of, to keep our technicians with us, and they just do a great job. But what we proposed is to come in and obviously, as we just discussed, do the annex building and then the courthouse the following year. When we do ventilation system cleaning, it's very important that the procedures that we use take into account that we need to protect both visitors and employees at the annex building and the courthouse. The work that we would do would be primarily done at night, possibly over some weekends, but obviously during the day. Some of the equipment we use does make some noise. We've got HEPA equipment, that's everything is HEPA equipped as far as our collectors. So when we go in and we put the duct under negative pressure and only clean certain segments of that ductwork that we can clean at one time, we put it under negative pressure so that as our cable-driven brushes are cleaning towards the HEPA collectors, all the contaminants stay within that negative pressure, and people generally don't even know that we've been there the following day. We would keep very close cooperation with whomever the main contact would be there to know where we plan on being that night, where we perhaps were the night before, and keep everybody on the same page that everyone knows which part of the facility that we're going to be in on a given night. We typically would work Monday through a Thursday night, starting at whenever the building closes up, usually 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whenever is the most convenient for that area of the facility. And again, we take everything in sections and put the ductwork under negative pressure, and then actually use, like I mentioned, specialty tools such as cable-driven brushes that actually will clean the inside of the ductwork as we're pouring it into the system. I think one of the main things that comes out of this, and we've done a number of projects with Johnson Controls that handles your systems there, but they have noticed themselves too, and that's why they've recommended us on a lot of projects, that you could really tell the airflow that you get. The air handlers right now, and people spend thousands of dollars a year taking care of their facilities, cleaning, doing carpets, making sure everything looks clean, but yet the air that's moving in the facility has not been cleaned or cleaned for many, many years. That provides the air quality for the folks in the facility. So it's a very necessary project to undertake. But Paul and I have always said over the years, if ductwork was made out of glass, more people would get it clean, but it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. One of the things that will show the commissioners and everybody involved in the project is that our supervisors are very good with taking photographs of the ductwork and the air handlers prior to cleaning, and then they'll take photographs of that particular area right after cleaning. And we put that together in a very nice electronic closeout manual they provide to Pipestone County, that you can, if anybody ever asks, well, what did you do to improve the air quality and or energy efficiency of your facility, you've got that to really be able to document, this is what it looked like before, this is what it looks like now. And I'm sure with what Johnson Control will do as far as their monitoring of the system, are really going to be able to adjust, the airflow to get the best out of it from an energy perspective. Paul, is there anything that I might have missed?
Yeah, I mean, our crews really do a good job on housekeeping too, so at the end of the day, as Mike said, once we finish up after our shift, everything gets cleaned up, everything gets put back to where it was. We put all ceiling tiles back in, the ductwork is patched up, and the air handler's put back into condition, so it's turned on, everything's running, so in the morning, when the folks get in the morning, it's all back to square one. We also are very good at, we just finished a project in Laverne at the Minnesota Veterans Nursing Home where we cleaned all the ductwork at the Veterans Home and working around the folks in the home. And so they're very good, even if people are going to be around, like in the part of the annex building. We're very good with communicating with people and making sure they know where we're going to be, how long we're going to be there, and so and functioning in correctional facilities. We do a lot of work with Stillwater and Moose Lake and many of the other ones. So a lot of experience working in those kind of situations.
And I think too, what Paul and I are very proud of with our company is the clients that we've built over the years that we've worked with for 10, 15 years. Right now we have a state of Minnesota contract. We do a lot of work with University of, I went to Mankato State, so I keep calling it Mankato State, but now it is something different. University of Minnesota, Mankato, and Medtronic, Cargill Corporation, Boston Scientific, some very, very high-quality institutions and Fortune 500 companies, because we do a great job, and we document that. And I think the big thing is if there is ever an issue that's created, we've stood up for our work as well and be able to, come in and rectify any situation, which, thank goodness, doesn't happen very often. But I think the fact that we back up our work and really have a great following of companies that use us on a regular basis, I think speaks to how well that our crew does out in the field. Does anybody have any questions about our process or about the project in general that you might have?
Has anybody got any questions? Are we looking at a two-part program
Yes.
here? Maybe possibly doing part of it now and part of it later?
We're thinking about doing the annex this year and then the courthouse next year.
Kind of makes sense if you can split it up a little bit.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
This is too much big chunk out of our budget. We've got other projects we need to do this year, so we don't want to stretch our entire budget out on this. But this obviously needs to be done. And
Definitely. In the budget?
yes. One of the things that Wayne mentioned too, it's kind of important to know, is that they will also get into our VAV boxes. They'll take off panels and reinstall. They'll gain access to it because there's a bunch of coils in these units, and
That need to be cleaned.
they're like plugged. And Johnson Controls, Dean and Robert both highly recommended this organization. They worked with Johnson Controls before. We did try to get other quotes from other companies and weren't able to, so we don't have two quotes. We just
No.
we're not
Schumacher
able to get
just
one.
come out right away and said, no, it's too big for us. Intech come and looked at it and did not get back.
Cooling coils and stuff like that do get clogged up.
It's how
with
big it-
high
yeah.
flow and
Yes, they
stuff,
do.
So it's important to clean
Yeah.
them out.
And the building committee did meet with both gentlemen in person here last month on February 21st approximately. They were here and visited with us. We spent about an hour and a half with them.
Was it February?
I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
February, was it early March?
It was early.
I believe it was in March.
Yes,
Was it early March?
Was that when you were here, Mike? Early March?
Just before we shut down, I think, wasn't it?
March 17th.
Yeah, it was, March 17th.
Okay, they said March 17th. That sound about right?
Yep,
Yep.
about a month ago.
Okay, yeah, it'd be about a month ago now.
If we decide to go ahead with this, when would this take place? Is this something that would happen sooner or later? or-
They're looking at what, June 1st right now, right? Mike and Paul?
That's kind of what we were thinking here. We do a lot of work for an Alco Eco Lab where we clean cooling towers as well. And this is kind of the season for that. But by June 1st, I know we can get a very, very experienced crew out there. The same crew that did the project that Paul was just discussing.
Okay.
And that we were just thinking June 1st would be just a good
Yep.
start date.
Yep.
Dan, any comments or questions on your end?
In his presentation, did he touch base on how much more efficient the motors will run when they're not loaded up? I didn't quite catch all that, but that's one of the points as well.
Oh, Mike, did you hear that?
No,
He-
sorry,
he
I
asked-
was kind of up on it there.
He asked about the efficiency after you clean. Be easier on the motors and everything.
Right, and I'll tell you what, that's a great question, and one that Paul and I, just ahead of the coronavirus here, just got back from San Diego at the National Convention for air duct cleaning. And there are a lot of studies going on right now that really show at a minimum, you're going to see anywhere between 15% savings on energy. And some of the studies have gone up, Paul, 50-60% savings just because of
Probably this building.
earlier. When those coils are plugged and you've got diffusers that are not just the diffusers, but turning vanes in the ductwork that gets plugged, those systems are working twice as hard to move the same amount of air.
Yeah, this study they did was actually just light dust that was in the ductwork. And we're talking, maybe an 8-10-year-old building. When you're talking 30, plus years old, you can imagine what else is accumulating in there.
Yeah. So is the Building and Grounds Committee,
Yes.
we go forward with this?
Yes. Yes. Doing this complex here to start with, because it hasn't been touched since it's been built.
Okay.
I think the other part you said was
96.
96.
when they done the remodel.
No, it's certainly not, it's overdue probably.
It's overdue as well.
Yeah.
This is just too much of a hit on our finances to do both at one time.
It makes sense to do it and then see how that goes.
The only drawback I have is we don't know how our tax situation's gonna turn out here. I wanna cautiously move ahead, not knowing how COVID-19 is gonna affect everybody in the county as far as finances. The other thing is, with the jail upstairs and stuff, and we don't know who's coming in and out, be nice to have it cleaned out once, so we don't have a breeding ground for the virus. I guess I'd make a motion that we move ahead on the annex building for 1st of June.
And I'll second that motion, and then just for clarification, so then looking at the cost overview, we're committing to $40,180, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
That's
that's
correct.
correct.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or? It's quite a bit of money, but I think it's something we probably should do.
Yeah, I believe this was Wayne who had this budgeted in his maintenance, building maintenance account, so I think we're good there as far as finances.
Yes.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Do the annex. So Wayne can give them a message and.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Paul and Mike.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So we have bid opening at 10:30. Anything about fire alarms yet, Steve? Is there something there yet that we have to talk about?
Fire alarm, nope, that was taken care of in the commissioner's warrants.
Okay.
The only other thing we have after that, Mr. Chair, is committee reports. So if you want to do a couple of those now, it's up to you.
There isn't gonna take long, I don't think, but. You wanna go ahead, Chris?
Sure. On the, I believe it was the 2nd, I had the flood RFP committee meeting, met up at the EMS building, talked with the engineers and whatnot, and had Nick Bergman was going to put together an RFP, which he has in the meantime. So we were gonna meet again in a few weeks after that, but everything's on hiatus now with COVID-19. And that being said, all my, rest of my committees were canceled for the last month. That's the only thing I have to report on.
Do you have anything?
On March 11th, One Watershed, One Plan for the Missouri River approved the agreement for Noble's SWCD to be the fiscal host for the Joint Powers Board and approve the budget for the Joint Powers Board. Authorize the Bowser grant application. On the 12th, the Soil and Water District met. We talked about Minnesota Department of Ag was starting an advisory committee to review level 2 groundwater sites, including Lincoln, Pipestone, Rural Water, and Edgerton. Afterwards, the NRCS local work group met, and later that night, was at the Burke Township Board to talk about the DNR trail issue where they paved over some of the gravel roads and whatnot. On the 13th, Highway 23 Coalition at their annual meeting, there was a speaker from Anderson Trucking that spoke on overweight vehicle permits and the need for drivers. Sunday the 15th, we had a hospital executive meeting. On 19th, we had a special meeting here for the emergency declarations. On the 20th, we had a special meeting for the hospital COVID updates. On the 23rd, we had Executive Committee for the Solid Waste Commission met and just paid bills and heard updates from the counties regarding the COVID-19 closings in most cases. At our hospital board meeting on the 24th, 25th, we had a COVID update from the hospital. On the 27th, Highway 23 Coalition had a phone conference, and Bob Burns, who had been the acting coordinator for that group, had basically volunteered to step down just to cut costs during this because he was tied up doing stuff for the city of Marshall, and they figure, if there's going to be less activity temporarily, to just trim the cost. And also the EDC cut their administrative payment, and just figure they'd have to spend more time reaching out to the legislators and just try to trim their other expenses. On 3rd, we had a hospital update. On the 6th, the Minnesota Rural Counties group met by the go-to meeting or whatever. He said he wanted everyone to reach out to their federal officials for personal protective equipment and ventilators and hospital funding. Want to reach out to legislators regarding broadband funding, since everyone's having to use it more, and obviously for some areas that still don't have good coverage, it's a big issue. They are planning to have some letters going out from the rural county group in the regional papers regarding the broadband issue, and then later have some follow-up letters in other smaller papers from local officials. Talked about the need for a larger bonding bill due to the need for immediate jobs combined with the record low interest rates. And then they set up a committee to do some fact-finding on business issues relating to property taxes, which we kind of talked about earlier. And then on the 10th, RCRCA executive meeting met, it was a phone deal, but I had to go to Marshall to sign the purchase agreement for that property for the dredging project. They finally got it worked out, so they sent checks for their earnest money and whatnot. And later that day, we had a hospital update, and that's about it.
Okay. Russ, you got time to get yours in?
Yeah, on the 3rd, we had Road and Bridge meeting at the Highway Building. On 5th of March, Prime West meeting. On the 6th, we canvassed votes for the primary. On the 11th, we had radio board in Marshall. It was pretty much an all-day event. And then on the 17th, we had building grounds meeting. We met with the 2 gentlemen that we had on the speakerphone a little while ago on the duct cleaning. On the 18th, we had a Health and Human Service meeting. Half the people were on phone conference, and we brought in just enough people for the board meeting to have quorum at that meeting. Then on the 19th, a special meeting here. Then the 27th, we had the COVID meeting at EMS building with the hospital. That's it.
Okay, I think all I had was 2 or 3 conference calls with the medical center. I think we're all aware of those. Then we had the COVID meeting at the EMS building, which I think everybody was at. Maybe Dan didn't make that one, I don't remember. But anyway, that's all I had for the month. I don't know if Dan can give us anything over the...
Yeah, I can give mine if you're ready for me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, on March 5th, we did have our Prime West meeting in person up at Alex. We practiced our social distancing there. Basically discussion, we knew we had ongoing training. We had to get our training done, so that was somewhat abbreviated. And we also followed up with that with our Prime West meeting in April, which we had April 2nd, which was all telephone. We did our training, our annual training there as far as waste and fraud and abuse that we have to do and document that. Then on the 13th, our Southwest 18 Mental Health Consortium, that one was canceled. On the 17th, we had our building committee meeting about the air cleaning that we just discussed. On the 18th, Les had mentioned Southwest Health and Human Services. He was in attendance personally. I was on the phone conference. Went well. Everybody could hear each other real well. Then on the 23rd, Monday the 23rd, we had our Rural Minnesota Energy Development Meeting conference call, also a PACE committee conference call as well. That was out of the Slayton office. PACE is still in existence. We still have our loans that we need to continue to support, and we are receiving some payments back on those as they come in. But monies for PACE is kind of, the usage has been way down, so that program isn't very active at this point. And that concluded my March meetings. And then, like I said, in April, we did have our Prime West meeting via conference call. And on the 18th, I missed my Southwest Minnesota Opportunity Council SMOC out of Worthington on the 16th. That was conference call as well too. Our Head Start program, we were somewhat in limbo for a while because we were getting mixed messages as far as the daycare portion of the Head Start program. It was deemed as essential services, and apparently under the federal guidelines, it's considered not a school but a daycare. And because of the workers, essential workers needed daycare for their children, so we did operate on a scaled down basis for a number of weeks, basically doing daycare there at the facility. But since then, the parents of those children have been able to make other arrangements for their students. So at all of our facilities, the Worthington one, the Pipestone facility, there are no longer in-person classes for the daycare. But in the Worthington one especially, they have been using the bus to still help deliver meals to those children who relied on those daycare breakfasts and lunch. So that's been taken care of. Lori Gunnick is our director of that. She's been doing a very good job with that. But the SMOC offices are completely closed down. Well, I take that back. We do have occasionally 1 or 2 workers that will go in and take care of accounts payable and payroll and things like that. But basically it's closed to the public, and any of our workers that are in there are maintaining their social distance as well. Okay, that completes my report.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
It's 10:30, and we'll move on to Nick with the bid openings. I see our county attorney's here, so we can...
Dan, do you have a bid tab?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so we have 3 projects that have bid openings today. First one we're gonna do is the Indian Lakes Trail project. We coupled that with an overlay that's right off the end of that job, hoping to help with bituminous prices. Then the next up, we have a gravel screening job at our pit, and last job would be gravel crushing. See, we got quite a few bids today, so that's good. Well, first up, we're gonna do the Indian Lakes project. Looks like we have 3 bids. So the first bid is of Central Specialties out of Alexandria. All right, Central Specialties bid, $1,010,247.83. It's $1,010,247.83. Next bid is Dunick Incorporated out of Princeburg. All right, Dunick's bid. $1,053,215.50. $1,053,215.50.
Dan, are you hearing those okay?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
The third and final bid is of Henning Construction out of Adrian. They were not on the bid tab. They picked up plans after I had sent this out. All right, Henning's bid, $1,327,461.20. $1,327,461.20.
Do you have an engineer's estimate?
Yep. Yep. And my engineer's estimate for this project was $1,151,612.91. $1,151,612.91.
Thank you.
Yep. So we will, if the bonds check out, we'll get them sent on the way back and we'll start checking them over and hopefully be back to award.
Nick, this is Dan. I missed earlier, did you say something in regards to their availability to still do the job under the Corona-19? Has that been considered?
Nobody has contacted me with concerns about that yet.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Bonds are okay.
Bonds check out? Okay,
Bonds check out.
perfect.
Try to keep them in your order.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, next up would be our CP County Project 2020-100. It's our gravel screening job. This work is to be done at our county pit. Looks like we have seven or eight for this. We received one package that I think we might have two, they might have put both the gravel jobs in, so we'll see when we get to that. So the first one is Central Specialties out of Alexandria. Their bid is $113,950. $113,950. Next bid is JR Birch Incorporated. I think I'm pronouncing that right. They're out of Rice, Minnesota. Their bid is $125,300. $125,300. Next bid is WMD Saponiak out of Holdingford. Their bid, $68,360. $68,360. All right, next up, Hard Rock Screening out of Little Falls, Minnesota. All right, Hard Rock Screenings bid is $100,700. $100,700. Next bid is Brown Excavating Incorporated out of Glenwood, Minnesota. All right, their bid, $149,850. $149,850. All right, next bid, Sweetman Sand and Gravel out of Curry. All right. Their bid, $78,350. $78,350. All right. Next bid is of Ferguson Aggregate and Crushing out of Alexandria. All right, their bid, $73,310. $73,310. And the last bid, this one doesn't have a project number on it, so it might be for the next project, but I'll know when I open it. But this one is from CT Simpson Gravel out of Beardsley, Minnesota. Oh, this is for the next one. Yeah, this is for the next project, so. So those are all the bids from gravel screening. The engineer's estimate we had for that was $86,500.
What quantity was that for?
30,000 yards, I believe. All right. All right. So the final project we're opening bids for is CP 2020-200. It's a gravel crushing contract we're letting there. There's 2 projects this year because we rejected all the bids last year and changed it up a little bit. So that being said, first one would be the one I just opened from CT Simpson Gravel. All right, the bid for Simpson Gravel, $135,250. $135,250. Next bid is of Central Specialties Incorporated out of Alexandria. Central Specialties bid, $181,850. $181,850. Next bid is J.R. Furch Incorporated out of Rice, Minnesota. All right, their bid. $171,500. $171,500. All right, next bid, WMD Saponiak out of Holdingford. Their bid is $130,100. $130,100. Next bid is Hard Rock Screening out of Little Falls. All right, their bid is $139,900. $139,900. Next bid is Brown Excavating out of Glenwood. Bid from Brown Excavating is $144,250. $144,250. Next bid is Sweetman Sand and Gravel out of Curry. Their bid is $135,750. $135,750. And the final bid is Ferguson Aggregate and Crushing out of Alexandria. Their bid is $145,550.60. $145,550.60. So, I'd like to take a few minutes to review the bids. We'll wait to hear back from the office to make sure everything checked out on the other ones.
Your estimate?
Oh, sorry. Our estimate, 142,500.
And what quantity is that for?
I think that was 50,000 yards.
I think it was 70, wasn't
Probably
it? It
tons.
was 70.
Tons, but,
Yeah.
yeah, 70,000 tons, but 50,000 yards.
Thank you.
Okay, do we want to recess the meeting for a few minutes while we wait for Nick's results? We're recessing at 10:55.
Okay, we're live.
Okay, we're back in, our meeting's open again here. Dan, are you still with us?
Dan, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yep.
Nick's back.
Yeah, so, all of the bids except one checked out, so I do have one correction, but, Demeen reviewed all the bonds, as he said here, they all checked out. So, starting with the project we opened first, that SAP 59592-001 and SAP 059-630-011. Low bid is indeed Central Specialties out of Alexandria. We reviewed unit prices and they all checked out, they all look good to us, so I would recommend awarding to the low bidder, Central Specialties Incorporated out of Alexandria.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
So that's really good news. That beat the estimate by quite a bit, so. I'm really happy with that one. I'm actually happy with all of them. They all beat the estimate, so.
Who made the motion again, please?
I did.
And Les second?
Yep.
Thank you. Dan, you still there? Dan, are you there? Dan, are you there?
Now I'm back. Thank you.
Okay, gotcha. Just did a motion on the bid. Engineer's recommendation is Central Specialties, 1,010,247.83. We had a motion by Bruce, second by Les. That was for for the SAP 59592001 and 59630011 project.
Okay, yep. Indian Lakes and
Correct.
paving, yep.
Correct. So, got a motion and a second on the floor. I think he
I
wasn't.
thought we voted.
We
He
voted.
didn't,
Oh,
Dan didn't get a chance to vote.
Okay, we're gonna-
We lost his phone.
Okay, let's
Oh, well,
read.
I will vote in favor of Central Specialties
Okay.
at $1,010,247.83.
All right.
We're good to go then.
Yep, we're good. All right, thank you.
Okay, next project would be the CP 2020-100. That'd be our gravel screening project. All those bids checked out, so I would recommend awarding to the low bid from WMD Saponiak for $68,360.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second.
Motion by Lou,
Chris.
second by Chris.
Right. Any other discussion?
Dan, discussion?
I guess just a little confusion. Why was it we had to split these two up between 100 and 200? Why couldn't they go out together as one?
One was gravel screening and one was gravel crushing.
Okay, thank you. Very good.
That's a different quantity there, too.
Different quantities,
Right.
different products, yep.
Okay,
Same pit.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
And the last project, CP 2020-200, that would be the gravel crushing. All the bids checked out except one, Ferguson Brothers Excavating out of Alexandria. That bid should read $145,550 even. Under zero, it kind of wrapped around a little shy, so it looked like a 6 for 60, but it's actually $550 even.
That makes
so.
the low bid look a lot, pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that low bid beat the engineer's estimate as well. So I would recommend awarding that project also to WMD Saponiak at a holding Ford for $130,100.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Okay, motion by Chris
Second.
and Les.
Are you thinking of doing more for either screening or crushing?
If we have room, yeah, I'll see how much is left in the budget, which is, my estimates were under what was in the budget, and they beat those, so there'll be some more room, so.
Pretty much out of gravel now.
Yeah, we quit hauling last year. The flood just kind of wiped us out, so.
Will they start quite soon, or soon as the weather's?
Yeah,
decent?
I think the completion date's June 15th or something like that, so they'll have to get started. Probably within a month, they'll have to start almost, so.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, motion passes.
So if we have enough physical room in our pit, and the product they're producing is good, which it always has been before, I'll likely be back to ask to extend that contract, or increase that quantity a little bit to take advantage of the pricing, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Questions for Nick or anything, or?
Any idea when they're gonna do the Indian Lake one?
No, I haven't talked to him yet. I would imagine that'll, it's very good chance that project is split. Someone would be doing the grading and the trail work, and someone else would be doing the paving. I believe Central Specialties has some grading, has a grading crew, but I don't know if they'd mess with something like that. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't, I don't know, so.
But by the number of bidders, there appears to be a lot of people looking for stuff to do.
Yep. Yeah, I think it helped today, so glad we got this out when we did, and we have another one out in 2 weeks, so that'll be good too. That's for our seal coat, so.
Dan, are you gonna be back on the phone 2 weeks from now?
Yes, absolutely.
Or you think you're gonna be here? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, in good shape. Still got food in the cupboards and toilet paper on the shelf, so we're in good shape.
Good.
There you go, all the
Got the
necessities.
important stuff. I'd make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dan. Bye now.
Bye.
Several years ago, we talked about these panic buttons that are around here. Where are they now?
Right here.
You've got one there?
Yep.